Greetings. This is David Fortier with Talking Bristol, another live stream from the Bristol edition. We are inside on a beautiful, beautiful spring day. It's about time. And tonight we're going to be talking and focusing on the West End Association, its influence across the city, and how this year it is putting its highly successful Rockwell Festival on hold and venturing into some new territory. With us this evening is Jesse Jablon. He's the vice president of the West End Association. And I'm thinking, Jesse, you have been with the association from its beginnings.
I have, yes.
We're going to talk a little bit about that and about its mission and some of the effects, both directly from the association, but also on the West End itself, and maybe that's part of what we want to address.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on the show tonight.
Oh, great. We were thinking maybe Hillary might join us, but she's the president, but she's otherwise occupied.
Hillary is pregnant with her fourth child, and has three already running around the house. So unfortunately, it takes priority at the moment.
Right. So tonight is your show, Jess.
I'm here to talk.
Okay. So let's start with you and your association involvement, with the West End, and how to begin. Maybe your role,
Sure,
mission of the association, and we could take it, in increments. Catch your breath and just kind of like decide how you want to handle that.
No, I'm happy to tell you how the West End Association got formed. Back in 2010, the city actually conducted a West End neighborhood study, and I was part of the initial study with people like Dave Hamlin from Hamlin's Auto and others from the community. And the city's study went through a whole process, several weeks long, of what does it take to improve that neighborhood, and what does that West End really consist of geographically, what boundaries there are. And through that neighborhood study, one of the criteria that they came up with was to form a neighborhood association. And so in 2011, Dave Hamlin and myself and others were part of the founding group that put together the West End Association. And we started gathering people together for meetings and finding out what the concerns were from the neighborhood. And people were interested in what things had to be improved. And part of our mission statement, which I don't know verbatim, but it's to, create a neighborhood environment that is conducive to just improvement for everybody, and people taking care of the community, taking care of their neighborhood, caring for one another. And so we've done a lot of things to help that community and help overall Bristol.
So let's just define the boundaries of the West End, because people would think of a neighborhood, maybe it's a block. This is not a block you're talking about.
No, it's a pretty large section of the city. The rough boundaries are from North Main Street, where Brackett Park is, all the way to Rockwell Park on the other side. And that would be the east-west part of the city. And then from the north-south, it's from approximately Haviland Street, about midway up West Street, and then down to about Gridley Street, near where Chick Miller is now finally coming down. So somewhere in that general area.
And that includes what we talk, the intersection of 69 and 72.
It is.
Which has seen some, I would say, improvements over the last couple years.
Yeah. So the intersection has just gone through a major transformation. Most people are aware of the big realignment project that they had there. All new sidewalks, all new landscaping, new traffic lights. That project was put forth in order to improve the quality of the traffic flow in that community. There was a significant amount of traffic accidents that occurred in that area. So this new realignment project was meant to alleviate some of those challenges and just create a more pedestrian-friendly area as well. And so it's really quite nice the way they've done these wide sidewalks and new landscaping. So it's quite a big improvement.
It is, yeah. And so you've got to feel good about that too. And there's also the idea that a building came down, and then they've got new parking there, and so and there's some new vitality in that area too.
There's some of those vacant storefronts are now showing signs of life, and new businesses are coming to the community. We have a nail salon that's coming into that School Street neighborhood. We have several new businesses that just recently opened. A new real estate office opened there, a new tax and multi-service business opened there. A hair salon is coming soon, and Seymour Media which is Steve Seymour, one of our councilmen here in town, has moved his media company into the One Divinity location, which is, people know it as the old Novak's
The old
Pharmacy.
Novak's,
Yeah.
yes.
For you old timers here in town, the
Mhm.
old Novak's Pharmacy location. And it's just quite nice, the transformation that he's had taking over that space. And there's more to come there. Some of you might have seen the new facade, it's called a soffit that goes over the windows at that location. So that's an improvement. And, a lot of people don't realize, the primary landlord over there, Hillary, who's currently the president of our West End Association, has done a lot of work on the inside of her buildings, on the interiors of the apartments, and really spent a significant amount of money and improving all that. And eventually the exteriors will get improved as well. So it was nice to see that soffit above One Divinity Street being recently done. And so it was nice to see.
Yeah. One of the anchors there is Cafe Real.
Cafe Real. So actually my initial involvement with the West End Association was because I owned that building. So initially that building, people know it as the Gagnon Photo Studio building.
That's right.
And Gagnon Photo has been there for years. There was a lot of other businesses in that location that were part of the Gagnon family. And so then I took that building over, and I had bare bones artists in there for a little while. They were running a nice community art event space in there. And then Cafe Real came into that space, and I built that deck that goes out to the back, which is overlooking the river, which is really a hidden gem. I mean, it's just a nice little oasis in Bristol that there's a deck overlooking the river. Most people don't even know that it's there, and it's just a great spot. You get your cup of coffee, go sit on the deck, and the river goes by. It's just quite nice.
One of my favorite places to be in Bristol.
Yeah, people don't know how nice it is.
And it's and you think, okay, people think it's the Pequabic. Oh, yeah, but it is. You go back there, you have the water going by. It's calm.
Yeah,
it's beautiful. The deck is nice, and on a good spring day like this, what a place to just sit down and have a cup of coffee or have a treat over there, or just it's just terrific. And what's nice about that is until I was 5 years old, I lived over on Laurel Street.
Okay.
We used to play in that river when it wasn't so nice.
yeah,
It's a big improvement right now.
yeah. No, everything. You mentioned about how it's improved, and when we started the association, we were one of the first groups that actually did a cleanup day in the community. And back then, in 2011 and 2012, when we started doing this, it was a lot of garbage, a lot of junk, even drug paraphernalia. And over the years, as we've done our job as the West End Association, it's so much better, so much cleaner. You don't see the drug paraphernalia. You don't see a lot of that stuff out there. It's really quite remarkable how it's changed.
I mean, the streetscape, just walking on the new sidewalks, it's very nice. And the open space, yes, it's a great improvement, and it's taken place, and it's taken a lot of time, but it's nice to see the improvements. So as the West End Association, you have you meet regularly. What happens at your meetings? And what kind of other initiatives? You mentioned the city cleanup. We'll get to the Rockwell Festival in a little while, but are there other things that you contribute to the city as a whole?
So we have our cleanup day, which is significant. We've done that almost every year, and weather permitting.
We just had one.
Yeah, cleanup day.
Yeah,
Earth
right.
Day was this past
Yeah,
week.
right.
So, and again, it was just a big difference. We used to have multiple trash barrels needed to clean up the neighborhood. Now it's just really just more about just going out there, but there's not much to pick up. It's really quite nice. People are actually taking it to heart to do a better job of keeping their neighborhood clean, which is nice to see. We also run a veterans breakfast around the time of Veterans Day. We've been doing that for 2 years now, and we'll continue to offer that to our veterans. Bristol, as you know, has a strong veterans community, and we are very proud to be able to support our veterans in our community. So we do our Veterans Day breakfast, and then I work with Veterans Strong to do that, and they do a great job. Veterans Strong, which is through the city, they just have a great group of people that help get those veterans the help that they need. A lot of veterans are very proud. They don't like to.
Oh, absolutely.
They don't like to
Right.
ask for things, but we feel it's the least we could do is just offer a free breakfast day. We give them people that come out for that morning for that breakfast, or we give vouchers that they can use at a later time.
And that's been at Jimmy's on the river.
Jimmy's on the River. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So shout out to Jimmy's on the river too.
Jimmy's is
Yeah,
great.
Yeah. That's great. And they've done
Jimmy Driscoll.
Yeah. Jimmy Driscoll. That's terrific.
So that was one of the other things that we do. And then, you mentioned the festival, which is on hold for this year. So we'll come back to that.
Mhm.
But, one of the things that people know of us for is our Taste of Bristol promotion.
Yes. There we
Yes.
go. Yes.
Yeah. So Taste of Bristol. So literally yesterday we had our raffle drawing for the people that entered and bought their tickets for the Taste of Bristol. We had 36 prizes and $1,080 worth of gift certificates were awarded or won, I guess is the right word. And those winners will be notified in the next couple of days. So it was really nice. And this is, you mentioned about us not just being in the West End, but how we affect the whole city. And so this project, the Taste of Bristol project, really is a citywide project. And we have just restaurants from Bristol, and they're just the mom and pop businesses. They're not any of the corporates or chains. And then we have over 37 restaurants participated this year. And it's just a great way. For those of you who don't know, you get 20% off at all these restaurants for 2 months, March and April. So you got 4 more days to use it.
And Matt just said on our comments that he's used the tickets, and thank you.
Yeah. One of my favorite responses from people is that they went out and tried restaurants that they hadn't been to before. And that kind of feedback makes it just so worthwhile because you have, the support of the restaurants. You want people to come out and visit, the restaurants here in Bristol. People always say, "Oh, there's not many places to eat in Bristol."
Oh,
there really are. And there's 37 of them on that one ticket. And
that's what I like to do is I like to look on there and see what have I been missing.
Yeah. And there's some new restaurants out there that are definitely worth trying. So you have literally 4 more days, actually really 3, I think 3 more days to try it out. But, and we just had our raffle drawing. So it's just a super positive thing for the city.
And you had the drawing at?
We did the drawing at Iron Horse.
Iron Horse, which is
Monday
another,
night.
yes, if you haven't
on the
been there,
ticket,
it's
they were on the
also
ticket,
terrific,
of course,
yes.
with their 20% off. For those of you who don't know, they have their half price burger Mondays, which is a great value. So I highly recommend that. But Iron Horse, beautiful job that they did with the Webster Bank building there. And I love going in there. It's just,
I love the facade what the models have done with the facade of the building, cleaning off the old stone. It just brought it back to life.
It's such a beautiful building.
Beautiful building.
And it's nice to see that get repurposed like that.
Yeah. So, okay. So, let's talk a little bit about the Rockwell Festival. I mean, from my perspective, and I'm sure many others, it was a highly successful.
It is
13 years with, and not including COVID.
Correct. So
13 years. Yes.
First one was 15 years ago. We missed 2 years because of COVID, right. 2020 and 2021. And then starting again in 2022, we really just grew it even more than it was. Those first 10 years, it really took off. And the last few years, we had 181 vendor spaces, and which is just kind of mind boggling.
It is
to have that many different vendors show up and participate in our festival. And we had, music, and my personal favorite part of the whole festival is the Kid Zone. I'm very proud of having this community event where we can bring people in and give families a place to go and have their kids in a safe environment with all this activity that they maybe not have been exposed to before, whether it was mini golf or cornhole games, or the scouts would come in with their different activities. Last 2 years, I had the Army actually came in with their rock climbing wall.
I was going to say the rock climbing wall was a big hit.
That was a huge addition to the festival. And I know people are disappointed that we're not having it this year, but we do intend to bring it back. Just year for a variety of reasons. We just need to put it on hold. But in lieu of that,
I was going to say you're not stopping your activity.
No, West End Association.
2 events that
you're working on 2 things.
And I'm saying I'm familiar with one of those events.
Yes, you're integral part of one of them,
which is a new organization in town called Creative Bristol, which is trying to find a place for artists, working along with the Arts and Culture Commission and now with Jesse for one of these ventures, which you will get into.
Sure. So Bristol Creative is an artist cooperative that is trying to organize different artists in the community and be able to find ways of showcasing art in the community. And we always had art as a small component of the Rockwell Summer Festival, but now, because that's not happening, we're going to do something a little bit of a hybrid, and we're going to do an artist showcase and sale event. and we're going to do it at the Bristol Arts and Innovation Magnet School.
Yeah.
I always forget what the I stands for.
Yeah.
BAMES, yeah. So
Arts and Innovation, yeah.
Arts and Innovation. So, which is a great tie-in because it's art school, right? Arts and Innovation Magnet School. So we're going to have our art showcase and sale there. It's scheduled for August 8th. We will start having public announcements, flyers, and things going out there for vendors to participate. It will be a free event for people to come and visit and check out the art that will be presented by.
In the art, it will be exhibitions, it'll be artist installations, it'll be, people who are involved in, let's see, I just want to say artistic, adventures, but they are people who, who are in Bristol and from their surrounding areas.
Sure.
We want to highlight Bristol people, but everyone will be invited, and we want to fill up the gymnasium. And the whole idea behind it is that, working artists in the sense of people who have been priding themselves on being, I guess, visual artists, even poets. I mean, anyone who has something like that where they can kind of exhibit what they're doing and what they're working.
Yeah, it's going to be an artist showcase and sale.
And there'll be sales. Yeah,
there'll be traditional vendor space type setup. It won't be an art installation like a museum or anything like that. It'll be more of a vendor type event, but different artists will represent. There are all kinds of formats of art, whether it's painting or watercolors or sculptures or
photography and
play. All that is welcome. And we're also going to get the students from the Bristol Arts and Magnet School involved. I actually met with the principal of the school today, Leah McCabe, and had a nice conversation with her. Worked on the logistics of how, we're going to get vendors in and out and where we're going to put the vendors. And we're going to also bring in some food trucks that day. So I'll have some food trucks available in the parking lot at the event, which will be nice. So it'll be a fun family day. Again, family friendly, and getting the students involved is a great aspect of it as well. So
always
I
great.
like,
Yeah.
I love having, that the mentors, the established artists, and then also having the youth come in and be part of it.
Yeah. It's that's how we learn.
Yeah.
We see people do things and then we pick those things up.
Yeah. So I'm working with the Bristol Arts and Culture Commission and you and your team at the Bristol Creative Bristol.
Yes, Creative Bristol. It's Creative Bristol, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we're working on a logo right now to get that out there. But then you also have Walt Lewandowski, who is with the Arts and Culture Commission.
Correct.
And so this is, I think, one of Walt's dreams. Not speaking for him, but he's always wanted to do something like this. And a couple of years ago, they had a showcase up on Federal Hill Green, and it was on the green, open and exposed. So
right.
it wasn't a great day.
It's challenging. It's challenging to have art exhibits outdoors.
Yeah.
Even if it's not raining, you know, issues with wind or humidity or different aspects. So it's my idea to see if we can get the use of the BAMES school, and they were gracious enough to work that out for us. And still crossing some T's and dotting some I's and getting things all legalized and official. But yeah, August 8th. Tentative hours are from 10 to 5, and vendor setup will be the hours before that. We'll have, like I said, some food trucks come in. I'm working on that as well, and so I'm helping you and your group at Creative Bristol.
We really appreciate that.
Yeah, and I'm happy to help organize and kind of guide that as you guys want to showcase the artists and community and build more of a community forum that art can be shared. And that's an important thing.
And in Creative Bristol, the way it's just a little commercial announcement, it's an art association. People can join it, and it's a way to support each other in the arts and form some community. And at some point, we hope to have a place around here, which is a physical entity. But right now, this is where we are, and this is what we can do. But you have another event that you're working on.
That one's not as concrete yet.
Yeah.
It's still in the planning stages, but it will be, again, a smaller aspect of what we had at the Summer Festival. Also, the Chamber of Commerce did a Blues and Brews Fest for a few years, and that's not happening this year. So we're working on kind of a smaller hybrid arrangement where we're going to have, some people call it a porch fest. I don't know if you're familiar with that phrase, a porch fest.
Sounds like New Orleans.
Well, yeah, I mean, really, it is something that happens in different places around the country. And a real porch fest is literally putting bands on people's porches and being in a proximity where, you know, you can go from neighbor to neighbor and listen to different music. That's a really hard thing to pull off logistically. You know, plus you have to get all the neighbors on board. It's a lot. So we're going to try to do a kind of a hybrid. And again, our focus is local. So we're going to have local bands and again, food trucks. And that's still to be determined where and when that's going to take
So
place.
we don't know where it is, or
No,
or
that's
like that
that's
for
still
what,
in the
yeah.
planning stages.
That's it.
Probably be in late summer, early fall.
Okay, so it's early fall. Okay,
You know,
That's
it could
the
kind
pro-
of be in a
that's-
way an extension of the Tuesday concerts in Rockwell Park, which is another thing
right.
that the West End Association is part of. And so I wouldn't mind talking about that. So the Parks Department does a wonderful job, Ariana and her team, doing the Tuesday concerts in Rockwell Park. 8 weeks that they do those concerts from second week of June right into August. And my role with the West End Association is I bring in the food trucks each week for that event. And so that combination of music and food, you know, and friends and family, and that's always a good combination, right?
It fills up the park. I mean,
It does.
You
They
go
get
there
a
and
big
it's
turnout.
tremendous.
Yeah, there's always a good 500-700 people at those concerts. And so I want to take that same concept and just do a variation of that. Whether we have it at Muzzy Field, we might have it at another location. We're working on some things that are still going to get put together.
Okay.
These things take time.
They do
to
take
organize.
time. They do take time. So, in these events, I mean, first of all, I think a lot of people know about the Rockwell Festival, and they know that it's got the vendors. I mean, the crowd sizes that you bring in. I mean, 19,000, 20,000 people. Am I
That's
stretching
a
it?
stretch.
That's a
It's
stretch.
a little stretch.
Well, you had 10,000 people who are coming into Bristol and
Yeah,
are
listen.
experiencing that event.
I'm super proud of the Rockwell Park Summer Festival. I mean, our group at West End Association that puts this on for the community. You know, we don't do it to make a profit. We do it for the community, and it's just been growing and growing. And I know people are disappointed that we're not doing it this year. So I'm sorry to disappoint people, but we are planning on bringing it back, and hopefully bigger and better if that's possible.
I get a little geeky about it though, because I mean the organization that goes into that, and I think of the CERT team that's out there, and then the number of your volunteers with their T-shirts on. Most of them are wearing sun hats too, so they're prepared for the day. You know, have got that down to a science. As a person who was a vendor there, you know, with the Bristol edition, you arrive in the morning and someone's there to greet you. They take you to your spot. Everything is chalked off, so you know you're, and it runs so smoothly. And it's like, so how long was it before you felt comfortable and saying this thing is working?
No, I mean we always had it going on pretty early in the process, but then after those 2 years that we didn't have it from COVID, in 2022, we just really kind of ramped it up. And best I can say is I'm really super proud of being able to organize that. And being one of my favorite comments that you just had was how smooth it is for the vendors to get in and out of there. A lot of festivals, a lot of events, it's a challenge to get your vendor wares together. But our event was set up and we worked it out. And like you said, the field that gets marked off, we have to, create a grid map for the whole park, and we have to go out and mark the fields, the days before the festival. It's all a process. And this is, again, one of the reasons why we're not doing it this year is there's a lot of work that goes into these things. Yeah. So I'm going to reach out to you guys out here to say, we always need support and volunteers. Anybody that wants to help us organize these events, wants to be part of this process, wants to keep these things going for the community, reach out to us. The best way is through email at westendbristol@gmail.com. And that's our best form of communication. But reach out to us. Let us know that, hey, you want to help out. We'd love to work with you. We always have, you said, the day of, a lot of volunteers. We get our little army in our green shirts.
So how big is the army?
The day of the event?
Yeah.
I would say roughly 50 people.
50 people. That's an accomplishment.
It's great. People do step up and they come out and support us and create the, that smooth atmosphere where things just kind of go where they're supposed to go. We have our little captains of each area, and then we have the team that runs under those captains, and we guide those vendors to their spaces. And again, looking for volunteers and people that want to be part of this process. So westendbristol@gmail.com is the way to communicate with us. We also have our Facebook page. West End Bristol has our Facebook page. Rockwell Park has an event page on Facebook. So those are, usually the best ways of communication.
What does it take to become a member of the association? You have to reside in the West End, or can
No,
other people be part of
no.
the
Again,
association?
what I was alluding to with volunteers, we want people to participate. We want people to be involved. As our mission statement is to improving the overall community. And as you saw, we talked about with the Taste of Bristol, it's for the whole city, really, because as the West End improves, it helps the whole city. And one example of that is Chick Miller building is finally coming down, and something will get developed into that location. We weren't definitely involved with that, but they happen to be in the heart of the West End.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just nice to see that kind of thing. Even though it's West End, with Chick Miller is coming down, it still benefits the whole city when those kinds of improvements happen. So, if you want to be involved in the West End Association, I live in Terryville. I don't even live in Bristol, and I'm happy to do this.
You lived in Bristol for maybe 6 months.
I did. I did live.
We have someone who wants to offer their porch as part of the as part of the music festival.
That would be a great option. We want to have that as an option. We want to explore whether it's going to be a true porch festival, or, like I said, a hybrid where we do it maybe a central location like Muzzy Field. So it's still in the works. And if you want to offer us your porch, you want to offer us bands, if you want to reach out about participating as a band, again, westendbristol@gmail.com is the best format to reach us.
So let's say somebody emails you and they want to be a volunteer for the Rockwell Festival, and we're not doing it this year, but say they were doing that. What would be the process then on your end? You would get the email, you'd respond to them and say, "Hey, welcome." Would you invite them to a meeting?
Yes.
Would you?
Yeah, of course. So I'm a manila folder and kind of paper kind of guy, so I still do things the old-fashioned way. But no, we also, I create like all these Excel spreadsheets for my vendors and my volunteers, and it's a process. So like 1,001 moving parts to the festival. So I have a cheat sheet or Excel spreadsheet of my volunteers. They get invited to our meetings. We have meetings before the festival. We do 7 monthly meetings during the year. So we'll have one in May. I don't have the date, so that'll be to be determined. But we'll have our next meeting in May. We did one in March recently. So we welcome anybody to come to those meetings. We love anybody just to participate. Actual membership of the West End Association gives you voting rights. So when we do these projects, we have to vote on them. We have to, especially if there's any funds involved. And so we want to be able to have voting rights. So membership is $20 for individuals and $50 for businesses. So it's a very affordable way. And you can be a paid member, have voting rights. You can come as a guest. We just want you to be there and be part of it.
I think you have to be ready because people are emailing.
Okay.
So that's a good sign.
Yes. Listen,
Yes,
people want to participate. People truly care in Bristol. I think, it's one of the reasons I'm here almost 40 years now. And it's always been a great community. I find it to be, the people do care about their community in a lot of ways. Sometimes they just don't know where to reach out, where to find something to do, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So, there are groups that you can reach out to. The Mum Festival Committee always is looking for volunteers as well. That's through the Exchange Club. I'm not part of that, but that's another great event for the city. And
we've had other associations. We've had the Federal Hill Association. They've kind of passed. It's gone by the wayside right now. That doesn't say there can't be another one. We have the Forestville Village Association. Mm-hmm. They've been around for a long time. They sponsored the duck race, but they do some other things to try to make Forestville and the community, like the West End Association. They want to improve the area and they want things to pick up. So a lot of times it's a force of individual personalities, but what I hear from you in some of our other conversations too is, while you are good at what you do, you don't want to do it all by yourself.
Can't.
It's impossible.
It's really hard. So, that's why, having people step up and participate is always an important part of this whole process. And then you mentioned, about Federal Hill Association and even Forest Hill Village, how they've diminished over the years because it's very hard to get people involved and to get them to commit. And when we started the West End Association, let's face it, the neighborhood was challenged and in a lot of ways. And so people wanted to voice their concerns. So we were able to act as a group and give a voice to people at the city where they couldn't get a voice individually,
Mhm.
right? So when you're by yourself and you go to the city hall, okay, they're not going to really pay attention necessarily. They will, but as a West End Association, you have the voice of many, so to speak.
Mhm.
And so in the beginning, those first few years, especially, there was a lot of concerns. There was a lot of challenges. We had gang problems. We had, just challenges. We'll leave it there, in that West End neighborhood. And so as an association, we were able to work with the city, work with the animal warden and different things to improve the community. We got rid of a bodega that was clearly selling drugs and not selling any products.
Mhm.
We did that as an association, and so when people came out to those meetings, it's because they had concerns. Now, when things are going smoothly, they don't come
Mm.
out as much because
Yeah.
it's like, oh, it's all going well.
And what I like about it too is it's an exercise in democracy. I mean, there's strength in numbers.
Yeah,
People actually organizing and around these concerns were improving the neighborhood. You've got more businesses in there now.
yeah.
You've got a new intersection over there now. You've got some. You've got with the Chick Miller project coming down. There's new potential site where there may be housing. There's there are things that are happening, and it's not like magic.
No,
If there's something that had happened have to happen for maybe to create that synergy or that energy that allows for this improvement. So
all these things take effort,
I
and
think
and
effort,
they
yes.
they take participation.
Yeah.
It takes participation from the community. I mean, it's nice to be here as a sounding board for people in the community, as the West End Association, and bring your concerns to the city as needed. We're here for that. But it's also nice when people don't have concerns because things are going smoothly. So that means
But you still want them to come out.
yeah, we
And
do.
form community and do things like that. That's true. Um, so the porch fest, I guess you call it. It's just such an intriguing idea.
Listen, it didn't create it. It exists in other places. West End of Hartford has had a Porch Fest in several years, so it's kind of where the most recent one that I've saw that took place in Connecticut, and so we might try to copycat some of those ideas. I know some of your viewers have expressed some interest in that already, so that's great to hear. And like I said, we might do it as a true Porch Fest if we can get the right neighborhood and the right setup of porches and neighbors that are willing to have this happen. It's hard logistically to pull that off with
Yeah.
parking and all these things. So we might really be better off with a central location to do it, especially if I want to bring in food trucks. I always like food.
Yes, I
Always
know.
always like
Well,
food
that's
trucks.
what
So,
makes
you
it
know,
fun. Good food,
yeah,
good
so
food,
that's-
music, and company and friends and community, and seeing people you maybe have not have seen in a while. That just happen to be at the same event. I um I was fortunate when I was teaching to go down to New Orleans.
Yeah.
And
What's
we
one
worked.
word when you're
Yeah, New Orleans. They kind of draw it out, and it was part of working with Habitat for Humanity. So
Nice.
we took down a bunch, maybe 60 kids and some teachers, and we did it, and we worked with Habitat. But one of the things that we did is, and early on, we worked in Musicians Village
okay?
when that was just getting going. And so, as one of the treats is, we would you could go to Musicians Village. It was all musicians.
Yeah.
And so we would go to these porch concerts. And it was, and that was part of that's part of their livelihood too. So, I mean, they knew what to expect. So you'd go, you bring the kids out there, but they had CDs for sale.
Yeah. Listen,
and,
I mean,
and they had a ball.
that's a community that's been doing this for a long time, obviously, and the New Orleans
New Orleans,
Heritage Festival is a major draw.
Oh my God, yes.
I actually was lucky enough to go to that one year, and so I spent 48 hours in New Orleans, and I slept for 3 hours. So that was
well, we'll talk about those things.
Yeah. that was
Yeah.
quite the experience. But that whole music vibe is such a strong thing that city is based around, and we have pockets of that here in Bristol, so we need to have people come out to those Tuesday concerts in the park,
Yeah.
and also the
Hey.
Rockwell Theater. I mean, the Parks
Downtown
Department,
Live. We just had Andy Deacon, who's a Bristol native, from Impact,
yeah, part of an a cappella
a
group.
cappella group. They were
And
tremendous.
the lineup that Ariana and her team has put together for this year at the Rockwell Theater is really impressive. Coming up real soon is I think it's either Hey 19 or a similar band doing Steely Dan music.
Yeah, that's this weekend. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's just next. It's coming up, and
So
the tickets are going. So that's a favorite. One of the dreams that after being down to NOLA is just thinking if there could ever be an exchange program with students down there and our students. I'm throwing that out to the audience.
yeah,
I mean, if there's anybody out there who has that initiative, but we've got people in town. We've got people in town who are, music is in their blood. We have great programs at our high schools now with Beams. We've got more music programs.
one of the things I'm going to offer at that art festival that we're doing, I wouldn't call it a festival, more of a showcase and sale, is I'm going to try and have students perform musically during the art.
Oh my God, that's great.
Yeah. So we talked to the principal again today, and I wanted to get the students involved in that fashion as well. So while you're perusing the vendors and seeing the different art, we're hoping to have some live music by the student artists. So, that's something that's we're looking forward to.
Right. So, I mean, I'm just thinking, like, when you talk about students, how exciting it would be for students to be involved in a music exchange program with some place like NOLA, and to bring in those kids and to see what life in New England is like, and to bring our kids down to New Orleans to see what life is like down there. It's a great big country we're in. There's lots, and we have lots of commonalities. And one of my favorite moments when I was down there, we used to walk a lot. So we were in NOLA, and we would walk a lot, and we would walk from our hotel over to a restaurant, and purposely. And then it was one night we were walking, and it's a long day. You're working a habitat. Kids are tired, and they're just getting their second wind and everything else. And we're walking down a street, and all of a sudden you hear someone playing the piano.
Yep.
You go a little bit further, you hear the saxophone.
Yeah.
Then you hear the trumpet. It's like, my God, this is just terrific.
Yeah. It's part of their vibe of
the
their era.
DNA.
Yeah.
They breathe it, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's exclusive to them. We've got tremendous vitality here in town, and the arts is a big deal.
Yeah. And so, really, when you think about it, music, art, and food are three of the things that unify people, right?
And they're definitely in New Orleans.
Well, yes, yeah. Listen, I don't think we're going to compete with New Orleans.
No, we're not.
Anytime soon.
But it's kind of fun to think about that combination.
We have our strengths. We have our hidden gems here.
Yeah.
And so if we can find ways of bringing that art out more to the forefront, bringing more food availability, just having these things, music, food, and art. I mean, it's just and friends and family. It's all really what it comes down to.
And that's community.
Yeah.
And that's community.
Yeah.
It's sitting down and having conversations like this. It's a forced conversation, but not really. It's not. But we arranged this. We got together, and it's fun. There's even ideas that are floating around here, just not information. So is there anything that maybe you would want to kind of maybe reinforce or talk about or encourage people to do, like in your closing comments here?
Just participate. Get involved. You can't just wait for other people to make things happen. You got to be the change. I know it's kind of a cliche thing, but be the change you want to see. Get involved with your community in any way you want. Participate as a volunteer. Participate in art. Participate in music. Just get involved. That's really my central theme, I guess, would be that.
Terrific. Well, Jesse Jablon. He's with the vice president of the West End Association. If you want to give that email address one more time.
Sure. westendbristol@gmail.com.
Right. And I would also say, if you have thoughts or ideas about Bristol, you could also share them with us at the Bristol Edition, Bristol's hyperlocal online newspaper. That said, this is David Fortier talking Bristol. Thank you, Jess.
Appreciate.
And it's
thanks for inviting me out and getting a chance to talk about the things that we do with the West End Association.
You're very welcome, and you do great work. So
thank you.
It's really appreciated.